Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SourceForge podcast. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Beau Hamilton, senior editor and multimedia producer here at SourceForge, the world's most visited software comparison site where B2B software buyers compare and find business software solutions. Today, we're talking with Arvind Gupta, president of Jesta I.S, or Integrated Solutions. They're a retail and supply chain software management company working to help retailers and wholesalers streamline their operations to ultimately improve customer satisfaction, because that's really what it's all about. We'll talk about the company's adaptable vision suite, industry trends, and the role of artificial intelligence in the enterprise resource planning process. So without further ado, Arvind Gupta, welcome to the podcast. Glad you can join us.
Glad to be here, Beau. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, can you start by giving us an overview of Jesta and just talk about some of the core solutions it offers customers?
Yeah, thanks for that, Beau. So Jesta has been, since much before my time, for 56 years, has been in the space for retailers, brand manufacturers, wholesalers, building out vertical solutions to serve completely, I would say, end-to-end need for the industry. And when I look back and say, what does Jesta do for those businesses? Effectively, Jesta has 4 pillars of solutions. Pillar number 1 has been always around head office, where all the decisions, strategy, and overall big thinking takes place. So the first solution is for foundational database management and processes in head office as it pertains to retail, merchandising, supply chain, and wholesale. Second solution is taking all those decisions that are taking place in strategy in head office and pushing that through to the supply network that these businesses may have in a global basis. So the second pillar is Jesta's very elastic supply chain management solution. Third pillar is to allow for the decisions and the supply chain that enables conceptualization and delivery and manufacturing of the products even to take it to the consumers. Consumers could be a wholesaler, retailer on the other side. Consumer could be walking to our client's retail physical format store, or consumer could be online. So the third pillar is to enablement and delivering the product to the consumers through Jesta's state-of-the-art digitization enablement solution platform. And the last but not the least is taking information from all these 3 areas, all the data that comes in, and taking it over the cloud, leveraging AI wherever appropriate to become more prescriptive and optimization for the data into all those 3 pillars back into the businesses.
Okay, interesting. So you have all those 4 pillars kind of baked into your main product, which is Vision Suite, right?
Yeah, it's you think of it, Beau, as if it's a this is a suite which comprises those 4 pillars, and each pillar serves a very distinguished need for the audience that is living their day-to-day life in that area of the business. They don't have to be all 4 together. It could be one, or they complement each other, but certainly each pillar could stand on its own to deliver the optimization for the businesses in that domain.
Okay, gotcha. And then I guess just from a big picture standpoint, the tool you offer kind of helps businesses manage everything to do with their inventory and their finances, customer interactions. You can get the data, you can get all the analytics all in one kind of convenient place, right?
Yeah, it's all about offering unified view of everything, all the processes, and to your point, the data. And for the businesses that are in the business of retail, brand manufacturing, wholesale, the single most important asset besides their human resources is the inventory. So yes, absolutely, it allows for making sure the inventory and all the data is optimized, and then ultimately deliver it to the consumer and the customers in the most optimal and most experiential manner.
Well, when you were developing this tool, what were some of the unique challenges you were trying to solve in the retail and kind of brand manufacturing sectors?
Yeah, this space is very unique since the very inception, and it still continues to be, quite frankly, in that the businesses that are trying to be in the retail or branded fashion goods, branded goods business, they typically they see 2 sides of vertical sometimes. It's still today to this date. One is their retail business, which is where they take the product to the consumers, be it online these days or be it in the physical store. And then they see second as a channel for wholesale, where they bring it to their retail channel partners, whether it is department stores, market sites. So those two verticals, we call it retail and wholesale. Typically, traditionally, especially back then, years, decades ago, they were always very siloed. And we recognize that just as forefathers recognize that in order for those businesses to be more optimal, they needed to have a solution where all those various stakeholders hitting or targeting those channels have to be coming together through a solution that enables them better collaboration, better creative collaboration, and ultimately optimizing the delivery. So first was to break down the silos that previously existed between retail and wholesale. But then second was similar silos continue to persist from head office, these businesses, wholesale retail teams, and their suppliers. So the supply chain networks were continuously evolving over the years, and quite frankly, they're still evolving. So there were silos between head office of the brands and the retailers and the suppliers and trading partners. So just endeavor to break down those silos by offering a common network where they can collaborate and share information pretty much in near real time. And last but not the least, now in this industry, if you know, Beau, a little bit about fashion, you will know that fashion is nothing, footwear, apparel, if not sizing. So this industry has continuously been dogged with the size discrepancies, whether it is based on the demographics, whether it is based on the geographies. So just solution stack particularly went further than any traditional ERP supply chain solutions would be to enable streamlining and managing and planning for sized inventory of goods, which basically is all the fashion, footwear, apparel industry. So those are some of the three big challenges they endeavor to bring down and address those head on through just a solution stack.
Okay. Well, first I want to say I have a lot to learn in the fashion department. I can take some notes from you, that's for sure. And I know I want to touch on too the kind of the inception of Jesta, which I have more questions for later. But Jesta was first kind of founded and worked with the fashion industry, right? I think that's really interesting. But I'm kind of getting ahead myself because I know you talked about some of the evolution that was required for your company to evolve with the different changing customers and clients you've worked with over the years. So can you just kind of talk about that? How has Jesta evolved over the years to meet the changing needs of let's say, apparel, footwear, and hard goods industries in general?
Yeah, not signing to be cliched, but the space for retail, fashion, footwear, and overall wholesale this industry has gone through seismic changes and continuously changing on pretty much daily basis, simply because, as you kind of pointed out, it's all about customer. Since the beginning of times, it has been always about consumer, and consumers have gone through significant changes for a variety of macro trends. So back in the day, years and years, and the first challenge was to bring down the silos, operationally make it more connected from the head office where the strategy takes place, and then make sure the head office strategy is connected back to the suppliers, the supply chain. So the very first part, first two pillars took shape from the beginning of time of Jesta's inception were head office ERPs, merchandising, foundational system, foundational solution, the first pillar, which was complemented by a second pillar, which was supply chain pillar. So then as we went into the 90s and going into 2000 Y2K, the challenge became that retail and these brands were going more global. They needed systems that allowed them to be always available and even then scalable. And most importantly, be completely frictionless when it comes to the currencies, language, time zones, and the market. So just our solution stack over those leading up to 2000, it evolved and scaled to allow for global enterprise database hub, if you will, where it doesn't matter whether you have a channel in Japan, in Europe, in Asia, in North America, you could still continue to function on one platform, one solution, completely seamlessly. And then as we turn the corner into the 2000s, which is what I call is the age of digitization and internet, just as clients, industry was shaping it to become, especially with the emergence and further, let's call it amplification of the online retail by Amazon and Google's. All these businesses that Jesta's core industry target space, they needed to be online, and most importantly, they needed to be able to leverage the same inventory to also serve a need of fast-growing customer that was going online. So Jesta worked with the clients and partners and actually built out what we call is enablement hub for the online retail for these industries. So solution, it was complemented by the third pillar is the digital hub, digital enablement hub. And also at the same time, businesses, industry was requiring solutions that are out of the box, covering their all channel need. So Jesta solution stack evolved for having also in-store solution stack, in particular POS and in-store unified commerce enablement stack. And the last but not the least, in most recent times, I'm going to say last 6-7 years, with the what I call is democratization of retail by enablement of cloud, where businesses were certainly seeing that they don't need to build their data centers and then have IT departments. So Jesta pivoted towards getting onto all the solution stack on the cloud. We offered as a SaaS and complementing it with the fourth pillar, which is state-of-the-art analytics layer, where it can then feed pretty much very prescriptive, very decision support analytics so that these businesses can continue to stay on the curve, if not ahead of the curve.
With over 5 decades of industry experience, how has Jesta incorporated client feedback to enhance Vision Suite?
Thanks for that, Beau. So Jesta has, since its inception, the mindset of being a partner for its clients and not only offering what Jesta believes is the best practices through its solution to those clients, but also at the same time listening in, leaning into these clients and trying to incorporate their main secret sauce in its solution stack and incorporating that as a feature that then is available within the solution in the next release. As a matter of fact, Jesta offers its key clients a seat on its product advisory, where clients' key sponsors, stakeholders are asked to work with Jesta's product managers as an advisory council to provide appropriate feedback and suggestions to make sure that Jesta's product roadmap stays relevant, not only for those clients, but also in the industry.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's amazing that you guys have been around for so long. I think you're really ahead of your time. And I was just kind of shocked to see that you guys were founded in 1968, and just kind of seeing, I just imagine all the different changes you've had to adapt to is pretty amazing. Talking about you've worked with the fashion industry. I know you've kind of migrated to the real estate scene in the 80s. You mentioned partner with kind of the global brands in the Y2K era as things went global. And then the cloud in 2015-ish. I think, I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit, but I think, it's clear the next big jump for you guys is data analytics, like you touched on, and then kind of artificial intelligence, kind of automating some of these processes and extrapolating the most meaning out of them. Could you kind of just, talk about that? Like how has Jesta worked to sort of enhance its product and adapt to all these different changes and trends?
Yeah, so several broader, what we call is forces have been shaping this space, and they have been shaped by some of the macro trends, and then we bring them down to how they're shaping more near in our industry. So some of the macro trends, just to factor in, there is what we call is de-globalization is a trend that is absolutely significantly coming on the front, which is where businesses are looking to see nearshoring or onshoring their supply chains, making them more resilient, especially as it happened in case of COVID, where some of the critical components were left in wanting and businesses were impacted no matter where they were. So that's one trend we keep an eye on, and I'll get back to how it's impacting Jesta's strategy and product stack. Second trend is we have already entered an era of what I call is extreme personalization, customer centricity, where consumer is quite frankly forcing the businesses to be more agile and more present in however consumers want to shop, and whatever they want to buy, it has to resonate with the consumer sensibilities. So that's the second trend is we see that extreme personalization. The third is insane and very large scale datafication. Every touch point, if you imagine, whatever you interact with, whether you go on your mobile device, whether you go to check your any social media feed, or you go and buy a cup of coffee, or take a car, drive, and you're interacting with your car, CarPlay assistant, all this data is absolutely going humongously exploding, and there are implications. And the last but not the least is the security and the privacy. So we see these trends that are broader trends and affecting the consumer behaviors and the businesses, how the business respond to that. And Jesta being in a space to offer solutions to the businesses, we are embracing those big trends. And I mentioned that, and quite frankly, naturally they are playing into Jesta's core strengths, being a company that always was in the business of breaking down silos. So very the first thing you do when you want to be consumer driven, you need to have your own enterprise connected seamlessly so they can share the same vision, same strategy, and then bring that same vision, same strategy, shared vision to the consumer through all the touch points. Second thing that kind of plays very nicely is that because Jesta has had heritage of 50 plus years in the supply chain, as the deglobalization is taking place, our clients and the retailers and the brands supply chain network had to be more elastic. So we are able to allow them to do some part of supply chain where they could still be in Asia based, but then also at the same time open up more nodes near shore in the local markets to be able to offer what we call is a personalized product offering to the consumers. So that's the second area. And the last but not the least, with the datafication, all the data being just on the cloud, with all the data that is coming to the cloud, we're able to leverage our proprietary AI algorithms. We are still working and improving them to take the data back in and again feed that back into the network supply chain and the overall business operations to be even more focused, laser sharp focused in what kind of products their customers are seeking and how to offer those products in a most experientially frictionless manner to those consumers. So that's how we're trying to continuously, while on one eye on the trends, but at the same time, second eye in trying to make sure our solutions are continuously enabling those trends converting into opportunities for our clients.
Okay, yeah, that's a great answer. I like the personalization aspect you mentioned. I think that's huge in this era, in this day and age. And I imagine with Jesta, there's in 2024, there's a lot of different similar competing tools and companies kind of working to maybe reach the same kind of customers and clients. I think one of the key features, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the key features of Vision Suite is its ability to, I would say, adapt and connect to a wide array of systems, which is, a huge benefit for customers and businesses managing complex operations. So can you kind of just share how Vision Suite integrates with other commonly used systems and tools and why this flexibility might be critical for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I kind of earlier alluded to, Beau, that Jesta sees itself as enabler of frictionless commerce to its clients by bringing down silos and offering unified view, first and foremost, to the businesses themselves in all parts of business, and then taking the same unified view of their product and service offering to the consumers. Now, in that context, what is fundamental to Jesta's delivery, Jesta's USP is that while we cover all spectrums of the product and service and experience offering for these businesses, but all those four pillars, they could be staged on their own, and the under the hood architecture is based on what we call is composable architecture principles. Basically meaning that we have factored in the increasingly heterogeneous client solution ecosystem environment where there are out of the box SDKs, APIs, and increasingly microservices that we are building out that are available to effectively drop in any of the Jesta solution stacks component solutions as a plug and play ecosystem of all the other third-party applications that might be in play. One of the most critical, let's say, as an example comes to mind, would be payment ecosystem. As you perhaps know, customers' payment ecosystem is evolving very fast, and thankfully, finally, it's becoming more and more frictionless, even in North America. So just our in-store solutions, they will seamlessly connect with variant of payment ecosystem solutions that retailers might have without requiring any major gymnastics to connect and then make them work seamlessly.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think I just picture it like a browser or something with multiple extensions. And that's always a selling point. That's always a feature that I'm looking for, is trying to get different add-ons for the apps and services that I use. So I can see that being a really big selling point. And just to ultimately improve customer satisfaction. Well, and I want to talk some more about kind of the emerging trends that you touched on and the future outlook. But before I do, I want to kind of continue to drill into some of the benefits your company offers clients. Can you share how Vision Suite helps businesses scale and adapt to the changing operational needs? Because I know businesses are always, growing or contracting depending on the market. So how do you kind of adjust to that?
Because of Jesta's heritage from 56 years plus years, in one of the other bullet, I should mention that Jesta sees itself as a partner for these brands, these retailers, that and the partnership with matters because it immediately changes the dynamic of relationship from being transactional to be more transformational. So Jesta's solution stack, quite frankly, has evolved over the years through its partnerships with some of the key marquee brands over the decades ago. And many of these brands and these retail businesses are continue to be Jesta's great partners. So some of the things that we Jesta brings to the table for these partners is as they are facing competitive pressures or changing dynamics of their customer behavior, whether it is they want to go to a different market or another international market, or whether they want to open up another supply chain or another channel online or go to a market site, Jesta is able to try to bring the solutions when they're ready for that particular venture they want to go into, and then plug it back into the existing stack they may have from Jesta. The translation of this is Jesta is always trying to be innovative and anticipating those changes that these businesses are going to have. Being a solution company, we have to always have one foresight into the future before Jesta's clients are already facing that competitive threat or that changing consumer behavior. So we are always keeping clients closest to the latest release, commercial release of its solution stack. And when the clients are ready to onboard additional features, capabilities, for example, Omni, Unified Commerce or Omni, Jesta was one of the first ones to offer OMS for Unified Commerce need decades ago. Businesses were not ready, but clients continuously kept on upgrading to the newer version. So when the COVID hit, suddenly every business needed to have Unified Commerce capabilities, even in their store. As the stores went dark, they needed to be able to leverage that inventory that is sitting in the store, especially when the inventory was not coming from overseas, to be able to fulfill the customer demand. So they had those modules available. They were not using them then, but suddenly they can simply light that up and then start offering those solutions, those orders to the customers without having major impact to their overall operations.
That's interesting. So you were kind of ready for the ramifications of a pandemic and what all that entailed, right?
That's just one example. And now in a similar example will play out in present time where because of nearshoring deglobalization, clients who are on Jesta Stack, they have those out-of-the-box abilities to leverage into nearshore network to immediately, without having to make any major systemic and operational changes within the enterprise, because those opportunities are available already in their stack if they are on the most recent versions of the Jesta solution stack.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, I've kind of gotten quite good at predicting the future and trying to make sure you have all the right modules in place for whatever curveballs are thrown their way. Can you talk about some of the recent technological enhancements that are integrated with Vision Suite and maybe some of the ones you're most excited for?
Yeah, by far, some of the biggest one would be is leveraging the data that we Jesta is fortunate, or Jesta's clients are fortunate to have through Jesta solution stack, especially if they're using uh, uh, all channel end-to-end solution stack from Jesta, at least 2 to 3 pillars from Jesta. So the biggest areas has been this advent and what I call is promise of artificial intelligence. Now, the artificial intelligence, the way Jesta is able to explore and further go deeper is that it's not only just hey how you make decisions in a more prescriptive manner, but it's also how you impact the supply chain. So Jesta is building out algorithms to make sure that these businesses, as they're doing the planning, forecasting, to laying down the supply chain in terms of how much demand they want to produce the or procure the inventory for, and ultimately how much they need to bring into each channel, and making sure what they procure and build is actually what customer is seeking. That's where we are seeing a huge potential of AI, which Jesta is incorporating to all layers of its solution stack. That keeps me excited. Other pieces, which you kind of hint on early on, is the idea of composability. We are seeing increasingly far more openness from other competing solutions that clients might have, businesses might have. So it makes it far easier for them to onboard just a solution stack, because knowing that it's not going to cause any disruption to their operations, given that it's out of the box composability in a headless commerce manner they can enable from Jesta and connect back to their existing legacy solution stack. The last but not the least is where, because the data is now all available, whether somebody is going, consumer is going online or going in the physical store, and whether data is natively originating in Jesta stack or emanating from third party, it's increasingly very easy to be tap into all that holistic data, even beyond Jesta solution stack, and then bring it back into the client's ecosystems to allow them to have what I call is 360-degree view of their entire enterprise and consumer stack. And then Jesta is able to offer that through solutions to complete the picture, if you will. That's very exciting stuff.
Yeah, no, that is really exciting. Especially the artificial intelligence stuff that always gets me riled up. There are several big milestones in Jesta's history. Some of which I highlighted earlier in this podcast. And I encourage listeners too. If you go to their website, you can look through, you can read their story, and you can scroll through all the different milestones highlighted. And I feel like the next big milestone for Jesta, from kind of an outsider's perspective like myself, it will have something to do with artificial intelligence, because you have the last sort of shift you highlighted was the shift to the cloud in 2015. And I just, given this kind of transformation in the AI scene, I feel like that's the next big frontier for you guys. I guess you talked about some of the AI plans, but can you talk more about some of the ways you plan to integrate AI into your product, and maybe just share your view of AI in the future of enterprise software?
Yeah, for sure. This is by far the probably the technology that will truly have impact to the bottom line, and the business that Jesta is in, for the customers that are in this direct to consumer or wholesale, retail, fashion, clothing, branded goods, is it's incredibly competitive, and at the same time, the ability to distinguish product based on itself is increasingly getting far diminished. So for the businesses who want to continue to be in this scale and go to the next level, they need to find ways to optimize their resources and their investment into delivering whatever product or service they want to deliver. So Jesta being the head office ERP and the supply chain solution for these businesses, and also being enablement of digital consumer, digital commerce for these businesses with the in-store experience that these businesses want to offer, we feel that through AI, a very large chunk of processes could be automated, where these businesses can scale without having to require to add additional headcount. And number two, one of the largest investment they make is in the inventory. So currently what happens, as you see, boys, people look up to these events, Black Friday or after holidays, because they know that after the holidays, there's going to be excess inventory sitting there. They'll be on a fire sale. So Jesta feels that we are able to leverage with the help of AI, build out algorithms where inventory will be far more optimal. Doesn't matter what event, doesn't matter which channel or which market it is. And the last but not the least, which goes back to the beginning when which you mentioned that customer centricity or personalization, through all these data, these businesses and Jesta is building out algorithms where they'll be able to offer far more when you are interacting with a customer in your store. They'll be able to offer far more targeted suggestions to the consumer based on their previous interactions with the brand. So personalization through recommendations, targeted promotions, incentives is something that we feel that Jesta has the advantage of being already there. It's just a matter of incorporating those algorithms to make it more focused and more relatable to the target consumers.
Okay. Now, do you plan on incorporating these AI features in-house, or is this something you're going to maybe partner with other established AI partners out there?
Yeah, great question. Jesta has already begun forays in partnering with some established AI evangelist companies who have far more expertise, who are early starters in this space, and they were even partnering with some of the hyperscalers that Jesta competes with. So yeah, Jesta is going to has been going on a path of partnership, but at the same time, Jesta is also building its own AI team, which is learning from these early adopters, evangelists, to make sure that once the algorithms are built, that's just a starting. Then these algorithms have to be trained to individual clients' business need to make sure that they are able to deliver the what I call is the potential of automation and optimization.
Okay. Yeah. So you're a little bit of both. That makes sense. I imagine some of these AI features are a tall order, right? So you kind of need to partner with certain established companies, AI evangelists, as you mentioned. And I imagine, just generally speaking, from a macro standpoint, you're really, these features are really going to help not only predict the latest trends and what if scenarios for different companies and their customers. You mentioned Black Friday, but just for Jesta as a company looking for the latest trends from a macro level, you always want to stay on top of those. Everyone talks about AI and what some of the emerging trends are, but what are some emerging trends in enterprise software technology that you are closely watching, and how is Jesta preparing for them?
Yeah, so some of the biggest things that keeps me excited and we are continually watching and making sure that we are staying on ball or ahead of the curve is in no particular order include artificial intelligence, in particular the potential of AI to streamline and optimize across the board operations for these businesses so that they improve productivity. And right beside that would be the ecosystem of payments and how these consumer facing businesses are able to offer in a secure manner frictionless payment checkout experience. And last but not the least, the potential of composability. Jesta increasingly is in a space where it's offering its solution stack in a headless commerce environment, but we are seeing increasingly complementary ecosystem of other applications that businesses may have, where they're also beginning to connect in a headless commerce environment more seamlessly.
Hmm. Well, that's a great answer and a lot of things to think about for sure. It makes me think of RFID technology and that future. It makes me think of the Amazon cashierless convenience stores, which kind of launched a few years ago, and make it so you can just go into a grocery store, grab something, and walk out, and using a array of AI cameras and algorithms, they can figure out what it is you bought and charge your card, automatically.
Yeah, or self checkout. In many increasingly, you see go to grocery store, there's a self checkout. You go to even some of the other broader small retailers, even you'll see that self checkout, which is all enabled through the scanners, these tags.
Yeah, yeah, and even and like the 3D printing, it hasn't quite caught on. I remember when 3D printing was really kind of like the AI nowadays, where everyone was really bullish on it and predicting it's going to 3D print homes and 3D print everything, anything you could possibly think of. And while it hasn't quite got to that point, I think it does kind of democratize commerce. And, you can 3D print like a prototype in your studio or your room or wherever office and kind of promote it on some online e-commerce website and just see if there's any interest in it. And that kind of frees up a lot of different steps. I think that's really exciting. So I think you guys are on the right path and really thinking about the right things. So I appreciate all the insights there. Now I have one more question for you. I think that's going to make for a great short clip that might be perfect for social media, and you can share it without necessarily all the context for this larger interview. And it should help summarize, I think, some of the many talking points you touched on earlier. So my question for you, Arvind, is if you could share one key message with potential customers about Jesta or the Vision Suite, what would that one big thing be?
Yeah, it's always about partnership. It's Jesta is sees itself through its solution partner for these businesses, whether they are something that are some new business that is coming up upstart and certainly reaching a scale that they're looking for a partner who allows them to reach that scale, or a business that is established now, navigating the next leg up in the digital transformation. Jesta and the solution stack is there as a partner, not only through the solution, but through its people. We live and breathe business first and foremost, and then use that expertise that we glean from the partnering with these businesses to build out solutions that are relevant, not only today, but also in the future.
Fantastic. Well, if you heard it here first, folks, where can people find out more about Jesta and just get in touch with you and your team?
But they can certainly go to Jesta's website or Google us up and get the information from there.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk with us about Jesta. I really appreciate it, Arvind.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to the SourceForge podcast. I'm your host, Beau Hamilton. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all of our upcoming B2B software related podcasts. I will talk to you in the next one.